going back to Liv Morgan, because like you mentioned, I think that was the biggest thing coming out of it. And now it's really about what's next. And I think that's, as you said, I think that's where things can get a little tricky sometimes. And I just wonder if, I mean, look, there's a couple different directions they can go here, right? And let me say this up front. Like, I thought the execution of it was great. Like, I thought the way
Mm,
they executed it, she wins. You kind of have the promo backstage where it's sort of like, I don't know when. I'm just going to celebrate all this other stuff. And then I'll tell you what I liked, Andrew, was after the Bianca Belair Carmella match, they do the attack there, and you're thinking, all right, well, maybe this
hmm
is it, right? Like, Liv's Raw. Like, and I'm thinking, oh, please don't do this, because I was like, this is not going
Right.
to work. This is going to be bad. But you kind of get that tease, but then it's like, all right, well, she's not going to do it. That was the perfect opportunity. She's not going to do it, right? So you kind of let your guard down a little bit. But then, the way you do it after that, I thought was perfect to do it with the next match. And I said I thought it would make sense, and I tweeted out right after I guess she won. I'm like, well, I guess she could cash in on Rousey, but I think in that scenario, what I would like to see is if you do it the exact same way they did it. And maybe I went back and forth on this. Okay, you could either do it exactly how they did it, or do you just have Ronda just completely lose it on her after
Mm.
they do the hug, the handshake, but then I think you're like, all right, well, you take away that moment for her, for Liv Morgan, and I get why they didn't want to do that, because there really wasn't a lot of other stuff on the show coming out of it. You could have said that's your big moment, right? Like that was it. And so I get why they didn't do it then, but I think that's the best direction here is, I mean, Andrew, like this Ronda Rousey's not a baby face. Like
Yeah.
let's all be honest. Like at this point, she's not. Maybe when she first came back, great, but like her initial run, sure she could pull it off, but now I just don't think so. And I think this is where like we're either going to get Liv Morgan versus heel Ronda, and I think at that point, if Ronda snaps on her, I hate to say it, Ronda's going to beat her at SummerSlam. And then we all know what's going to happen. Like Reigns versus Lesnar, 28th time in a lifetime. It's going to be Ronda versus Charlotte, 26th time
Mm.
in a lifetime. Like this is just, I think this is where this is all headed. Charlotte's got to come back at some point, right? Bailey's still there. I think it's at least intriguing, but I hope it's just not as easy as going back to Ronda and Charlotte again, because I just don't know if that's the best thing moving forward. Although again, we could have said that about Reigns and Lesnar, but when it comes down to it, you're always going to go back to what you know, and I think that may be what they go back to. So
You want to know what's crazy is that going back to your point about Liv Morgan, I had watched the interview that she did with Ariel Helwani, her post title win interview, and he was like after she won the Money in the Bank, he was looking at his producers, and he was just like, Liv Morgan's right there, like why are we not interviewing her? Like she was like literally
yeah,
on this like near the set. He was like, you would think that we would be interviewing her, right? She just won the Money in the Bank, and then like he realized like he must like I guess like it must have hit him like maybe like a minute or so after. He was like, oh, okay, like she probably gonna be like doing something. So that was like a funny little thing right there. But
yeah.
like what you mentioned about Liv and Ronda. Now see, I think like it is even funny because Ronda, she wanted to come back this past January as a heel, but they wanted her to come as a baby face, which I think it would actually like her reasoning for wanting to be a heel actually made sense. And the fact that she thought that the fans sort of switched up on her at the end and they started booing her, and she felt like, why would I come back and act like, oh yeah, I'm happy to see you guys too. Like y'all just booed me last time I was here, so I'm not. But like, I think that her reasoning for wanting to be a heel actually made sense. But of course, she don't. I know she ain't got no say in that. But
Yeah.
yeah, for Liv and Ronda, see the thing is, but like I think you're right that if Ronda is turning heel, I don't know about Liv title reign, man. I don't know how long it's gonna last because
Well, that's the thing is like if she turns heel, I don't. They're not going to immediately beat her, and that's the problem, right? Is because if you want like a live long title reign, like I think in any scenario here, maybe I'm not being pessimistic. Like I'm trying to look at this realistically.
yeah, that's
I
it's
just
because
it's
it's how they do stuff.
yeah, and I mean there's again think about that. It's either to me there's like three options here. It's Ronda goes heel, and I don't think they're not gonna have her lose immediately, or Charlotte comes back, and well, I mean let's just be honest, probably not gonna have
Yeah,
her like get beat in a four match series against Liv, which again we know there's gonna be multiple rematches. That's just how it works. But then there's also Bailey, and you can't bring her back just to lose. So like there's and look, I'm not saying like and we know what's gonna happen, Andrew. And I'm not saying this again to knock on anyone, but when Liv Morgan loses this title, no matter when it is, like it's going to make some people very unhappy. But
Yeah.
I think just her getting to this moment is maybe something we should just embrace a little bit more and say, I'm great. It finally happened. Good for her. I think she absolutely deserved it. But the road forward to me is like a lot more complicated. So,
Hey Blake, like, wouldn't you think that it would make more sense to actually like do something more solid? Like, I mean, of course, we just speculate right now. Like, Liv could go on and have a lengthy run. She might go on and hold the belt to December for all we know. But like, we just speaking from what we've seen in the past. Like, you would think it would make more sense to actually want to further establish Liv Morgan, considering the fact you don't have a Sasha Banks right now, you don't have a Naomi right now. Like, you would think that you would want to build up sort of that next big baby face that you can rely on. And by you throwing her to the wolves like that, I'm talking about in terms of if they are planning on her losing at a SummerSlam or at at the pay-per-view after SummerSlam, or the Clash of the Castle show, or one of those.
yeah.
Like, if they are planning on Liv having a short title run, you're not doing any favors for yourself in that department in terms of having somebody that can. I'm not gonna say rival. I'm not gonna say rival that star power that Naomi and Sasha Banks have, but I'm talking about somebody that can be that sort of next baby face that you can count on and put in a variety of different slots.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of directions they could go in, and I think it's fine just to try to be optimistic. I think logistically, you look at it and you realize that they have these three people that we know they are completely invested in when it comes to Rousey, Charlotte, and then Bailey once she returns. I mean, but again, I mean, Bailey could come back on Raw for all we know.
Yeah.
But I just think those three are in a very interesting dynamic. And look, SummerSlam's I mean, it's a big show, right? Like it's a stadium show, and that's very important. And they're going to have Rousey on the card. I mean, look, they could probably have Charlotte on the card. It's pretty quick to reignite that, I guess. But I think there's a lot of different ways they could go with this. But I'm curious how they go about it, because and it goes back to the initial conversation we were having. Is you were talking about Big E and all this other stuff, and there's so many other examples we have of just like these babyface champions finally getting their opportunity, right? Like that's the big thing. Like it is like there are similarities between like Big E winning, Liv winning. Like these are two people that people have rallied behind for years now, and it's kind of one of those things where you hope at least it's treated the right way moving forward. But listen, you know what I'm doing. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm not trying to buy into all the where they're just gonna sit here and she's gonna lose it next week and that's
Yeah.
it. But if she loses it at SummerSlam, would I be shocked? No.
No.
I just
But
think
But see, the thing is, I think that it, like, right out of the gate, don't mess around with, like, this Friday on SmackDown, I would have her defend the title. It don't even gotta be no big title. Like, have her defend against Shotzi, Aaliyah, or Raquel. Have her defend against Xia Li. Just have her defend the title, like right out the gate. Like, don't even like save me the promo. Like, save the promo till after the match. Like, give me the post title win, big TV promo after the match, after she gets her title win. Like, further establish Liv right out the gate, like just immediately, and have her, like, even if you want to go the route of, like, in terms of what you're talking about with Ronda and Charlotte being in the picture, like, if you want to extend the title run, man, do Ronda versus Charlotte at SummerSlam in the number one contenders match. It don't have to be for the title. It don't have to involve.
right.
Just say the winner coming out of that match is next up for Liv. You don't even have to date it in terms of when that
And
match.
they don't need the title. Let's be honest.
They
Right?
don't,
Those two don't need the title. Yeah.
They don't need it. They don't need it. But Charlotte does not. Like, it's clear. I think it's clear as day that they're trying to get Charlotte to that 16. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get it to that specific 17. They're trying to get it to that number. But like her or Charlotte and Ronda, like you said, they don't need the title. Again, this harkens back to the absence of Sasha Banks and Naomi. You need to start building the next crop. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of funny, like, that, from what we know about the situation, Sasha and Naomi's whole point is to further build up the division, and it's kind of sad that it took them leaving in order for some shit like this to. And I'm not saying Liv winning the title is a direct correlation to that, but I'm talking about, like, in the overall point that I'm making, that them leaving, like, it just further leads to the point that you need to build up that next crop of talent and establish people outside of putting them in, like, these just random ass tag teams and then swapping them in and out whenever you feel like it. Like, Liv is one of those people who I think a lot of people see a lot of stuff in. And I think that she has a lot of people behind her, and the fan base is gonna get behind her. But if the machine ain't behind her, it's not gonna matter at the end.